man. Am I making too much of that, Joe?
I I don't know because I don't know what's his name, Re-Up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know Re-Up, and I don't maybe the brother, you know, is a
I don't know.
professional brother that had some things going on that just couldn't accommodate in the
I don't know.
moment, and he just kept it moving and
Yeah.
got to you as soon as he could. I don't know. You'd have to have
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
with him first.
Yeah. I will. I will. I will. I will have
You
that
know, we
conversation.
that's the extension right there. That's the olive branch where give them the benefit of the doubt, right?
You're right. Right. You're giving the benefit of the doubt. Okay. You're giving benefit of the doubt, and you extend that little olive leaf until you see how they respond. So with that being said, how was your day today, man?
I mean, my day was great, and everything was cool and copacetic. I've been running around doing man stuff today. I had to buy a chain for my back gate, and
Okay.
get a bigger chain, and did some repair work around the crib, and you know um just my son hit me up. He loves to be a little last minute, because I can't imagine that he didn't know yesterday that he wasn't going to have a ride.
He
Uh,
called you at the last minute, asked you for a
well,
ride.
few hours. He gave me a few hours. So I just had to readjust what I was doing.
Right.
Got the little restaurant spot at the flea market, and they are just prepping for that. So just had to readjust some things and make some moves to go because his vehicle's down, so I'm helping out.
Right.
So it's all good though. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was my day.
Yeah. So my day was a little bit. I had to go hang out with God's Lives Matter America. We had our little meeting today and everything. So we hung. I hung out with that, and hung out with Vanessa. I had to go pick her up. Vanessa's trying to move out of her place and everything. So since I'm an older dude, man, I can't be picking up stuff and moving boxes and everything. So I donated $100 to the brother to do the work. So I thought the work was supposed to have been done. You know, I thought they were gonna get together. The day that I gave him the money. Vanessa tells me, they didn't. He didn't. The person who supposed to do the work, who I gave money to, didn't show up. No call. Just go right back to what I've just got to talking about. No
Oh
communication.
Lord, oh Lord, we
Hey,
we
he
we
showed
talked
up.
about some of these brothers.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And if I call his name, you know who I'm talking about here. Little,
Oh Lord, come on, bro.
yeah, 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 Vanessa.
Hold on. You're not talking about who I think you're talking about.
No. You ain't gonna get this one. You ain't gonna get this because
Okay, okay.
you ain't gonna get this because
Cause I
we
was gonna
don't.
say, cause he old. I was gonna say that brother old. Who I'm thinking about. I'm like,
No, no,
he
no,
old
no, no.
and he old and exorbitantly overweight, so he wouldn't be able to do
No,
nothing.
no,
So
no. This is another, bro. But the thing is, I knew he was going to be helping Vanessa move and everything. So my wife had some other things going on. So I donate, and gave him $100, help out. And I thought they
a
was going to be,
hundo gave him a
yeah,
hundo.
get him $100, to do what he gonna do. But here's the thing. So Vanessa, I pick up Vanessa. She says, so I'm asking her how they go. See this. Listen, I ain't Joe Black. See, this is, I'm just tying this into some. I'm calling this some BS and some black shit. Okay, I'm just saying. You know, somebody get mad at everybody, but some of us just carried on with some black shit. Just stuff that you gotta deal with when you're dealing with us. I hate to say you in the insurance business, and I'm sure Carl. Sometimes some of us just we practice some black shit.
Man,
Yeah,
don't even talk about insurance, man. I
yeah,
got a I got a client right now who I've had, and I really need to just cut him off, block him, and just never have him call me This
Again.
brother, I'm gonna take out $200. I want you to set up a policy for me and my brother. I'm gonna cover my brother's policy and my mother too. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna take out $200. I'm gonna put it in there, leave it in the account for that. Uh, and I'm gonna do it right now because tonight I got this date. I'm going on this date with this
Oh
chick.
man.
Blah 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 blah.
Blah blah blah
Guess,
blah
guess
blah.
what happened? Guess what happened though?
None of it.
He didn't spend too much money, and now he want to be mad at me because a week
you
later he's like, "Hey, bro, we're gonna have to wait until August 1st to do this policy." You know what I mean? Because I just spent too much money and blah blah blah.
blah
And
blah blah
all right,
blah blah
cool.
blah.
I'm gonna call the carrier tomorrow, and I'm gonna go ahead and stop. Guess what? is already in play. ACH payments go out 3 days in advance.
Right,
So
right, yeah.
if you're gonna stop an ACH payment, you need to do it at least 4 days.
You're right.
3 days the worst in advance in order to stop that. So he sends me a screenshot, bruh, bruh. Why these I'm getting hit with fees and you know what I told him? I said you need to grow up, bruh. You're a 59-year-old man that does not know how to manage their money.
Right, right. So back to my story. Okay, so yeah, I pick up Vanessa. I'm thinking her move and everything was done, right? I mean, I know because I already paid my money yesterday. Today, yeah, yesterday, right? Paid my money yesterday to help her do this. The guy told me, I heard him say, "Man, I'm gonna have some guys come over, man." I said, "Well, and listen to that." I said, "I'm gonna donate $100 to the cause, man, because I can't go. I got some other things to go. I'm gonna donate to the cause, right?" So I'm thinking the cause was gonna happen that day, right? That day, because that's what he told me. It was that. But Vanessa get in the car with me. No, it was 2 days ago. Vanessa get. I say, "So how did your move go?" She said, "He didn't show." I like, okay, what do you mean? Well, he didn't show with no phone call. He showed up the next day, okay, and said he was on the way. And when he got there, check this out. So listen up now. Here's some. I'm just gonna keep it real. This ain't listen up. Since there's grown men on this thing, I'm gonna say, oh, you got a woman on it too. So I'm gonna say, this ain't no bullshit. This is some black shit. Okay, let me be qualified. Sometimes we deal with what bullshit, right? But then there's that black shit. Okay, yeah, come on now, don't act like y'all don't know what I'm talking about. It's sometimes we 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 gives off some black shit. I mean, it's that type of shit. Like no other people will go practice this. It it just it's relevant to us. Okay, this is one of these moments. Okay, so Vanessa tells me, "Nah, he didn't come that day. He didn't even call me. He didn't even call me when he wasn't coming. He calls me the next day, shows up. You, she's asking you to move her, right? Guess what he shows up in? He shows up in a
A Yugo.
he shows up in a vehicle full of stuff in the vehicle. Ain't gonna say I was just gonna move some stuff around. I ain't have time to take stuff out and everything. Got two other people with him. Okay, I'm just talking about some. I ain't your black. I'm talking about sometime this ain't no BS. Sometime it ain't BS. It's just some black shit. Okay, I'm telling some. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not down with our.
Now, let me say this. Vanessa don't have a problem with you sharing this story, right?
Oh no, 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 no. Oh no, this is my big sister. She ain't good. She
I,
ain't
I
gonna
mean,
do.
I know how close y'all are,
Yeah.
and
No,
that's
no,
cool.
no.
I
This
just
is
wanted to
like no,
make sure
no.
because we're streaming on all the other. We
Yeah,
on
no, no, that's
YouTube. We on
okay.
the
See,
I
no,
Ain't Your
no, no.
Black
See,
Facebook too.
yeah, yeah,
I
I
want to
know.
make
Yeah, yeah.
sure.
It's all good. I mean, it's nothing. I'm not about to say. I'm only talking about. The idea that the idea that you show up and been asked to help someone to move, and you don't come in the right vehicle. You don't come to help someone move, and so basically the whole move is what mute because ain't nothing. You don't have no space to put none in. You got two people who can move a couple boxes and everything. And guess what? Now this is what guess what? My money paid for the whole thing. I spent $20 for gas, and I gave up hearsay. I gave the other two people $40. Okay, okay. I
And
thought
that's not including the hundo from the day before, right?
right, right.
So
So
you $200 in.
no, 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 no. Did you catch it? My $100 financed the
Oh, okay,
whole
okay.
thing.
40,
Okay, go ahead.
40, and 20.
Yeah,
Okay, I got you. I got you.
yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was supposed to be y'all ain't come on, come on. I thought it was supposed to be a what? A joint thing. We all kind of throwing in some dollars and everything. Come find out, only one finance this thing with me.
And the sad part about it is if it was Mexicans that showed up and they had their car packed and there was two people in there in addition, they'd have still got the move done and they'd have had it strapped to the top of the car. It'd
It
have been
would
a
have
little Mexican sitting on top of mattresses. The whole move would have been done.
been. So all I'm saying that sometime when you say I ain't Joe Black, sometime what I'm talking about, I'm not down with some of our black shit. I'm just sometime, and let's be honest with us. Sometime there's stuff that goes on with us that this is what only relevant when it's us. Okay. Not everybody practice this. Okay. Not everybody do this. It's just sometimes it's just stuff that's relevant to it. And if you can't honestly, I mean, Negro was just talking about a show on over where he's at. I mean, he started saying, all other culture are men. When it comes to their women, hey, they women ain't talking to them all crazy. He went down to all the lists. He was right spot on all the lists. Okay.
And I wouldn't mind bringing that bit of that conversation
Yeah,
over
no,
here
I
too
do. I
because
would. That's why I
because
brought it up.
I don't know if you remember Diego that's ever been on
Oh,
any of my
Diego.
shows in
Yeah,
the
I
past,
remember. Yeah, I remember
but
Diego. Yeah.
that's my brother from another mother.
Right.
He does about 2 million plus a year
Right.
with cybersecurity, and so that and I only say that because ultimately that puts him in some other rooms, some
Right. Right.
rooms
Yeah. Yeah.
that
He
not
rolled it
everybody
right. Right.
is
Not
in,
everybody.
right?
Right. Right. Exactly.
And that same thing he talks about, and we've had this conversation. We've pulled it together, and sisters don't like to hear it, and brothers don't like to hear it because he's saying that it's the brothers who are weak because in other cultures that's not
It's
happening.
not
The
tolerated.
women are not, no, and the other cultures look down upon our
Us.
culture of
Hmm.
men
Who
due
allow that
to
nonsense to
that
carry on.
right there. They see that
Hmm.
and they say, "Wow, y'all
Hmm.
allow y'all women
To run you.
to run you," and it's a lot of conversation, about dollars
So,
that don't
so
make
what you
sense,
say? That's
value,
part of the
worth.
half the problem why so many other men. Because I know I had to check these brothers. In the operating room, these guys come from other countries, and they come to the operating room as residents and everything. And every time a new resident show up and everything from another country, they come in with their what? They TV or media introduction about how black people are, and what they try to do, brother, they try to talk to me all kind of crazy and think that just because I'm the scrub tech and everything, that they think they can talk a little crazy to me, man. I was like, look at here, I got check. I got every time it's a new, yeah, when you got new residents, like you new privates, you got new. They may be doctors, but they residents, and they got to be under. They gonna be there for the next 3, 4, 5 years until they can graduate and get their doctorate. But when they first come there, brother, they come there with that. They come there with all that. That what they learn or what they think they know about us, because you do realize, I mean, I don't know if y'all really understand it. When other people come here, other people already give them ideas is that when you deal with black people, we kind of like we like domesticated. Oh, you, when you meet them and everything, they kind of
I've heard that said at that they have been told that. I've heard foreigners tell me that they've been told that when getting their citizenship, at some point they've been told, don't mess with those
those
type
people.
of people right there.
I've actually had them African. The an African brother told me that he was told by some white people. It's like you know you are black, but you ain't that black. Okay, you know I'm like, what do you mean? He said, basically he was telling me, go ahead and do what you need to do, but don't associate with them because you're not them. It's kind of like they domesticated. They are black here, but they don't operate. And this is why I was telling my partner that's why I love talking and listening from other people's perspectives. Not that I want to hear these perspectives on telling me. I want to hear what they've been told and what's going on and everything. And sometimes when I'm dealing with some of these residents, now no, a lot of times coming these residents coming in from these other countries and everything, man. Immediately you got to check them, dude. That's why I thought it was crazy when I first came to these spaces. They call them tethers here. I told you that, right? You know, tethers. Did I tell you that? What they call people who are not born here in America, Joe? Did I tell you that they call them tethers? Did I tell you that
Yeah, we talked about that on the show, as a matter of fact.
they call them?
And
What
and
is a
and 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 yeah, we talked about it here on X Space. I'm pretty sure Carl would remember that. I believe we all had that convo. And as you finish up your thought, then we do got a hand. We'll get to Negro as soon as you're done.
Yeah. All I was gonna say is that when I first showed up and everything, uh, I witnessed that they're allowing what I call them internationals. They are allowing these tethers, okay, which that's another derogatory term which I don't like using because the tethered is you might as well be calling them an N word or a cracker or something like that. It's not really good, okay, to be saying that in my opinion. But anyway, uh, 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 these folks was calling using an N word and profanity and talking all crazy, and I'm like, what the hell going on over here? Out of pocket. I mean, talking like, in our environment, we used to check them. You not us. You don't get to talk like us. You don't get to use the N word. What are you that? And that was kind of the awakening that I got coming to these spaces. Look like culturally, we have allowed a lot of things. I think Carl talking. We have allowed a lot of things to go that I think we didn't get. I think we done lost control of it a little bit, man. I think we done lost control of things that's supposed to be relevant to us. We have allowed it to go so long. We have allowed other people. So you got other people. This just happened today. I went to the gas station. And I asked the dude. That was I mean, I paid for my stuff, and I said, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" I said, "So, where you from?" He told me he was uh from Africa and everything. He told me where he from. I said, "Cool." I said, "Let me ask you so. How?" I said, "Do you identify as black?" He said, "Yes, yes, we identify as black." I said, "But why?" I said, "Black is actually something that we born right here in America and everything. That's kind of our cut." I said, "Y'all don't identify yourself black in Africa, do you? I mean, it's by tribes." And he said, "So what he told me is that, well, black originated from us. We the concept of black came from Africa." And I told her, I said, "But the concept of black and everything is actually an American thing because many of you come over here and swing off of us. Okay, we don't swing off of you all. I mean, you say black originated from you, but You don't see us trying to be like you all. You all come over here and try to be like us. Okay. I said, so, we really, take offense to you Africans trying to identify as black. And I said, I'm not trying to say, I said, do you follow what I'm saying? He looked at me. He said, I see what you're saying. I said, it's something to talk about. And it was a nice, friendly conversation, nothing like that. But I dropped that on him. And he received it and everything. And I thought, that's the type of conversation we really need to have. But I think we are losing our position here because you got all these people coming in here trying to roll as black as us, right? Negro, you want to jump in there? Anybody else?
Yeah. It's cultural appropriation. That's where I'm kind of coming from. It is cultural impersonation. Like you can't mimic a Native American. All right. Like let's really break this down. You can't mimic a Native American, but they feel justified. Are you all right over there, fellas?
Yeah, I'm
But
all
they
right.
feel
Yeah.
like they can. You got the earbuds on too now. Okay, yeah. They feel like they can mimic us in the guise of that they can get unearned benefits from us. That's what makes their behavior criminal from my perspective. Like they going around taking up black slots at colleges, destroying black student unions, a whole bunch of other crazy stuff that's been going on with these other ethnic groups who are operating underneath the guise of blackness, flat blackness, and it should be viewed as criminal behavior. Hands down, that's where I'm kind of coming from, and they should be locked up. They should be getting jailed. They're falsifying documentation, getting into political positions, being head of our even down to our security, where this could be even viewed as a security risk, right? This is a potential security risk where they can lower down the shields and allow all types of crazy terrorist elements into America. So that's just kind of my take on it, on that part. The premise of the space that we were playing earlier, or that we were talking about and discussing earlier, was the premise of just do Black American women do they words or like let me get the correct thing going on here. Make sure I get it all right. It was the conversation in the space. Can Black women words be better? Can be better when addressing Black American men, right? One of the things I've been noticing is on these apparatuses, specifically on social media, our women say some of the most vulgar things to black men that another man would not be saying to another man because it's going to end up and break out into a fight. And women know that because they think that they have a vagina, that they can just talk any type of way to men and they think that men is going to be cool with that. And that's not always the case, depending on the man or the male that you're engaging with. And that was a highlight in the premise of where I was coming from because, like, I've seen women break out, say some vulgar things towards black men with the intentions of embarrassing them, to disrespect them, to harass them. And my thing is, you can't build an effective nation with people who don't know how to communicate effectively with their people to get what they desire. And the women in our community think, well, I'm being motivated. No, how are you being motivated when you're not breathing life into the situation? You're breathing death. You're breathing hatred. You're breathing chaos to your own people that you want to seek the protection from, or not from before. You want to seek protection for. And so that's kind of the premise where I was kind of coming from, and I wanted to have more of a bigger dialogue towards I consider it inter-ethnic cultural discrimination because they don't have this tone with white men. They don't have this tone with Asian men. They have this tone directly with us as Black American men because they feel that there's not going to be any repercussions for their behavior. That's what makes it discriminatory. That's what makes it biased. And the thing is that what makes this intra means it's happened within our community that we tolerate this nonsense. So that's just some things I just wanted to like have people think about in regards to these talking points and why effective communication needs to be in order more so now than ever.
And so, with that being said, we dived in it a little bit because we're going to talk about. We talked about where it all began. After 1960, I don't, I am confident that our women and as a unit, we were talking and communicating much better than that with one another. But a lot of things happen, okay, in the system. Systematically, we will separate. But I'm gonna use what Kanye West says: slavery is a choice. Somehow, some way, we were so altered as a demographics of people, I'm talking about our men, that we allowed ourselves to be separated from our family, our homes, and everything. And a lot of people, and then you remember we talked about. I mean, black exploitation. I think Carl could probably jump here. That wasn't that didn't that black exploitation in the '70s was not good for us culturally. I mean that era and everything. We went in some dark areas in our cultural identity and trying to you know we were actually rebelling. Carl, maybe I'm gonna see if Carl would agree with what I'm about to say. I truly believe that when I look at my parents, my even though my mother separated me from blackness, she was also rebelling against her parents. Her mother was a maid for the white people, the Nelsons, and my mother was rebelling because she never wanted to be a maid. It was funny. My mother was the youngest of all the children, youngest girl. My grandmother and my granddaddy had all the children working at the Nelsons. I mean, cutting grass, cleaning baths. I mean, they were just modern day maids because grandma, she was bringing in, she was bringing in the money. You know what I'm saying? My granddaddy, who looked white, used to always. The mother was telling me, the white people. My granddaddy out there cleaning, cutting grass. I'd never met my granddaddy, but you got to understand how deep this is. I talk about it in my book. He knew he wasn't black. He knew it. He could have passed as white. He chose not to pass as white. Found out because the pictures on the wall. His parents was passing as white. He chose not to pass as white. I wish I could had met him. Okay, my mother was telling me her father used to get uh 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 harassed by white men who was wondering why he was working aside by the black men cutting grass and doing all this and why he wasn't, like my granny said, this is my sons. And I'm like, what? These are sons, what you mean these are your sons? And because my granddaddy looked white. Okay. And he said, these are my sons, working with him and doing that. So my mother saw her father being mistreated and everything based on the color of skin. So my mother was named Hattie, but she didn't like the word Hattie because Hattie was the name. I mean, Hattie's a slave. I mean, it's a maid name, Hattie. And so my mother she preferred to use the name Laura as her middle name. So my mother had it in her heart to be a rebellious. She rebelled. She would never. She said, and then when she had me, she told me, I don't want you to ever tell no white people yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. And this incident actually happened. My grandmother had to go to work. I was being babysitted, and my grandmother had to go to work, and she tucked me on her job. And it was the first time I saw the Nelsons. Notice what you said. The Nelsons. My mother had told me, I don't ever want you to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am to the Nelsons or no white people. That's my mother was very adamant about that. So here I am, my mother's child. My grandma took me on the Nelson's job. She bring the Nelsons out to introduce me to them. Guess what I said, brothers? I remember this lady. My mama said I ain't supposed to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am to no white people. Guess what my grandmother did? Slapped me. I slid across the floor. She slapped me so hard. Okay.
you saying you saying she slapped you back into yesterday?
Embarrassing her in front of them white folks.
Yeah,
Them good white folks.
and I said, I'm gonna tell my mama. I'm gonna tell my mama. And so my grandma, my grandma, I mean, I was like, I'm gonna tell my mama, I'm gonna tell my mama. So she kept, so as we in the car, she trying to soften me up and everything. Nah, I wasn't talking to her. Nah, I was saying damn thing to her. I was like, hey, I ain't saying nothing. Man, well, I remember my mother walked in there. Yeah, no, she slapped me because I was woo. Brother, I have never been so proud of my mother. It ain't nothing like seeing your mother. I was a little shorty, man. My mother went the HELL off on her mother by her slapping me because of these white people. Okay. So much that she packed us up and moved out. Okay. Remember I told you I don't have it? And I never saw my grandmother again. So that time, this might sound ugly to you. So bad that when my grandmother passed away, my mother didn't go to her funeral. Is that, yeah, some of y'all like, wow.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, me, Sean.
Do you,
Wow.
when you say that's damn, my mother, my mother turned away from her family. That's when I say that I was not raised. She turned away from her family that hard, dude. That's how hard she turned away. And I remember my mother when I told, she said, "You remember that, huh?" I mean, it's amazing. But people think the children don't remember things, man. When you're a child, you'd be surprised how much a child actually remember what's going on. Even my wife was telling me how she remembered, and she told her mother,
Well, you got slapped into yesterday. I mean, I
"Yeah,
would assume that you would forever remember that.
"Of course I'm going to." You know damn well I'm going to remember that. And the emphasis on I remembered it so good because of what my mother did when when my mother showed up. When my,
I mean,
when-
I will forever remember this story because of the image of you sliding across the room after getting slapped into yesterday. Hey, Carl, let Carl come up and speak on it. Go ahead, Carl.
Remind me of every day. Everybody hates Chris.
oh wow, yeah.
Absolutely.
What happened? Tell what happened. Every
Oh, when his mama slapped him into next week.
yeah.
But I was gonna say this. I'm looking forward to. I need to visit some of Negro spaces because I'm looking forward to the solutions on what us brothers can do to get this back in order in our communities. So I'm looking forward to get into some of Negro spaces and to support him and listen to the solutions that we can come to as men to bring order back into our community. With that said, yes, I think a lot of our issues started in the 60s when we were lied. Well, I think it was a little bit before that because a lot of our people were lied to in the South, thinking that the conditions of life was going to be a whole lot better in the North, and therefore we left a lot of our houses and lands and the things that we did have, we left those and went up north and got into a bigger predicament that we had to depend on others for jobs, others for housing, others for different things. And when that collapsed, then the family unit started collapsing around us also because we didn't have our own agency to assist and to help our own people. So again, I don't want to be harsh on our ancestors because they did the best what they could in many situations, but uh, I'm not having a blind eye that I can't see for the mistakes that they made. That we need to make better choices for ourselves and for our community and for our family. I'm gonna land there.
Yeah, I think there was a point at when I mean when they were just straight up, being dragged onto the boat. I can excuse that because there was a lot of us that was pulling a lot of us to the boat. So that part right there. But when it comes to after we got um over here and after even times after we got some freedom, I mean, we was following right along. We was and I guess there's still parts of that where it's they did the best that they could. But I mean, we created whole houses, and that's the term honky came from white men rolling up looking for a black hole, honking the horn. I mean, we jumped in there and took what we saw, and some of us made the best of it, some of us made the best worst of it. So I
You,
definitely
you,
understand what you're saying.
yeah, I met my grandmother was 102 years old. Prior to me, because I was separated, I was separated from my father, both of my parents, my on my father's side and him. So you was around when I
Oh, was that the grandmother?
no, that's not the grandmother. No,
That wasn't the slap you back
that's
yesterday
no,
grandmother.
that's not the slap me back to yesterday grandmother. No,
Okay.
this is my father's grandmother.
She's gonna forever be labeled that.
Slap you. No, she had already passed and gone on.
Okay.
This is my father's grandmother, who I I didn't I never met her. I had never met her until here we are on ancestry.com, and I had that person reach out. My cousin found me, and here I am, and I get a phone call, and this person says, I'm your cousin. I'm the daughter of your father's brother." And I didn't believe her. I like, yeah, okay. So then she calls. Yeah, this, she says, James and Charles is your father, Clyde, brothers. So, good thing my mother was still alive. So, yeah, I said, hold that. I said, all right, let me call my mother. So I get off here with her and I said, Mom, what's the name of my father's brothers and everything? She says, Charles and James. I like, oh, okay. But Mom, this woman just is a cousin of mine, and they were just made contact with me from Miami, and she found me. And my mother said, "Well, that's your uncles. They're Charles and James." So I get back on the phone, call her up, and say, "Okay, it look like we cousins. You my family." And I didn't see this one coming, man. She said, "Well, Grandma gonna want to meet you." And I'm like, Grandma? How old is Grandma? I said, Grandma? Yeah, she's at the time, she was 101 years old. I said, my father's already dead and gone. My father's mother is still alive? Yes. I like, oh my God. So you remember how I made plans? Now I gotta be honest with. So what happened when I told my wife all about it, and I was sitting up there, I mean, thinking about how I was gonna make plans. And Jackie says, "Uh, if it was me, you need to be trying to go see her. She ain't got all day to be waiting on you to come." So Jackie, my wife, told me because I was trying to, yeah, I was gonna plan it out, to think about I was gonna go in a couple months or so, or 3 months later. But with Jackie, she's so funny. She said, You just located. You think she live? You need to go and so I went to work and told my family that I found my, I had a good president at my job and everything. When I told, I went to my job and told them that I, I'm an adopted. I was separated from my father's family. Y'all know my story. I've been separated from that side of my family. I ain't don't know nothing about them. Okay, and my grandma, 101-year-old grandma, is still alive in Miami, Florida. I gotta go see my grandma. I said, I gotta go see my grandma. And I had not been back to Miami. I had not been to Miami in over 25 years. I mean, when I left, I left. So the last time I was there was when got out of basic training and went there. So I hadn't been back. I mean, so I hadn't been there 25, 30 years. Okay, so yeah, I got in the plane. My Jackie stayed here, and I got in the plane and went down to see my grandma. Man, 101 years old grandma. Man, and so I come there and meet her and everything, and I got pictures of it. I mean, it was an emotional thing for me to meet my. But here's where the real emotional thing came, bro. Oh man, oh let me hold it together. Here's the real emotional thing came. My grandma said, "I am her oldest grandchild, even though my dad was the youngest son. My dad had a child before the other brothers, and I was the oldest grandson." And she said, "I prayed to God not to take me away until I saw my grandson, my oldest grandson." She prayed that way before, and then she comes out, "I didn't know it's gonna take this long." Y'all hear me, man? She gonna say, "I didn't know it's gonna take this long." And then y'all know how weird my name is, right? You know how odd and weird my name is, right? She pulls out a picture and everything. 101 years. I mean, she got all her scruples. I mean, she got all her. I mean, she sharper than a. I mean, she's sharp. I mean, ain't 101 years old, but she was sharp. I mean, she had all her factors together. She wasn't walking. Look ahead. It's not like you were 101 years and she didn't know. To prove that she knew who I was, y'all know my name, Meshorn. She pulls out a picture, and on the back of that picture, she got Meshorn. Joe, you been knowing me long enough. Was I bothered by that, brother?
By by what? The fact that she had that picture or your
But
name?
brother, I was emotionally taken back. You heard me how
Oh, of course.
I was emotionally taken back to see that she didn't have my name misspelled. You know how many people misspell my name and this and that. She
Not even misspelled, but enunciated wrong.
pronounced it wrong and everything. You know what I'm talking about? No, I'm telling you, she knew who I was, dude. And she had been praying to meet me all these years. Hear what I'm saying? I've been separated. The last time she had a picture of me, the last time I was in that house with her, she got a picture when I was 5 years old, dude. This woman been praying to have me to visit me again. And she said, "I prayed to God not to allow me to leave before I saw my oldest grandchild." The next year she passed away.
It's deep.
Yeah. I have check this out. I was not using, and it came around the time because I was writing my book. Guess what? You saw you you knew I was only using Daniels before, right? Me, Sean T. Daniels, right?
Yep.
After meeting her, I started using me, Sean Floyd Daniels. I
Floyd.
hated.
Yeah.
I stopped. I didn't even like Floyd. I mean, I didn't like Floyd because it associated with my real father and a whole lot of different things. So I would never use that's my birth name, me, Sean T. Floyd. That is my birth name, Floyd. But when I got adopted, okay, I just used me, Sean T. Daniels. After meeting my grandmother from that day forward, brother, and in my book, you notice in my book, y'all see my book, what it says, me, Sean T. Floyd Daniels. Okay. I honor her. I honor her life and everything. But let me tell you something. I had to ask the question. This is a funny now. Is that so, Grandma, where did you get me Sean from? you, I mean, she named my father, right? So, of course, because my mother only gave me the name Mishon from my father's middle name, right? So I have to add, I mean, even though I knew the story, what I was told to me, I wanted to hear from what? Her mouth. Her mouth. Where did Mishon come from? And this is funny as hell. She looked over at me. I don't know. She looked at me. She told me, I don't know. I don't know. But I know who you are. You Mishon. Your mother named you Mishon. But the story is that my name came from a Frenchman that, and my father was named Clyde from they owned Clydesdale horses, and so they named him Clyde. And then to remember the Frenchman that owned the Clydesdale, she put his middle name in the middle, and then my mother came along and gave me Sean as my first name. But the deep part of it for her to tell me, I don't know. Only thing I know, your mother named you me, Sean. And I know who you are. And you my oldest child. And then there's another incident that took place while I was there. I was just so I'm sitting there, I'm trying to get all the information. I mean, she represents the black. She represents the black side of me, right? I mean, there was so many things I learned by spending I just spent everybody else. I just spent time with her, just sitting down talking to her and everything. Come to find out, and before I tell you, come to find out because I hadn't seen my brother. I had another brother. I mean, I knew I had a brother, Trevi. I knew I had a brother and everything, a father from another, but we knew one another when we were growing up playing. So him and I got to talking, and I didn't notice about my. Yeah, I knew that we had Keena Taylor. I knew my family was involved with Keena Taylor, but I didn't know. I didn't know the background of. Come to find out, the Floyds in Miami and my grandma and my granddaddy, they ran numbers. Everybody in, they were like, I said, what do you mean? He said, listen up. He said, my brother told me, he said, listen up. I got props because of grandma and granddaddy. The whole area knew grandma and granddaddy. They was the loan sharks back then. They was the backbone of people who needed money. I'm like, grandma, she said that's why grandma's so sharp. She kept the books. Granddaddy made the deals. And they was the bank. When the people needed money, they came to them. Look how deep that is. They were the my grandma and granddaddy on my father's side was the backbone of economics in Miami when people needed money and everything. They ran it. They were the people. So my brother was telling me, he said I didn't have no he said I didn't have no problem. Everybody knew. He said, you know your dad and everything, this and that. He said, we didn't have no problem because everybody knew Miss Lily. There's a, there's Lady Floyd. That's Miss Lily. Papa Floyd. Okay. The whole community knew who they were. So he's telling me. So I'm sitting there talking to my grandma, and she's shopping. I mean, that explains why she was so sharp. I mean, her had all her factors. So I'm sitting there talking to her, and so I'm just trying to, have conversation. I said, "So, Grandma, when did you have your children?" I was just asking. I said, "Were you when no when you married when you had your children?" Let me tell you something, man. My grandmother sat up in that chair, looked at me, Carl. She looked at me and said, "Your granddaddy didn't know me." Y'all know what that means? He didn't know me until we were married. Anybody know what she was telling me? I had all my children after marriage. She sat up and looked at all of them and let them know that.
She using it. She using them biblical terms.
Did you hear what I just said? She stood up and with a voice said to everybody in there, "Granddaddy didn't know me until we were married."
And she was proud of that.
And that's you said it, brother. She said all her children came from marriage. Marriage.
Man, just look at the difference in the thought process of today. Lord, I mean, how far we've come from what was prideful
Yes.
versus what is or isn't now. Like
Yes.
you won't get that now.
And all I can say, hey, yes, ma'am, grandma. That'll be what I'm gonna say. Yes, ma'am, grandma. It was everybody was in the room and everything, and some of the children were there, someone married and nobody said nothing. Grandma dropped it like it was hot. Lay in. In other words, she was speaking to everybody. Everybody here. None of my children came from not being married. We were
That
married.
that that's called the moral high ground.
Woo! Woo! What you said? Man, I was so glad that I met and then so at her so nobody knew me, so she passed away in the funeral and so I went back to Miami and they put me on and I learned a whole check this out, man. What I'm about to say. The apartment that I was in was grandma's apartment. Everybody was living with her. She had they grandma had 4 5 people living off of her dime. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
Kind of sad when you look at it, right?
Oh, brother. And oh,
Because remember you telling some of this, and you talking, when you came back, they thought you was rich when you went down there.
yeah, no, yeah. Because what happened? Because I got good friends from the hospital and everything. When I told them that I was going to see my grandma and everything, and everything. So when you got good people and everything, so I went and got cards, and I got about 100 cards and everything. And asked them, I said, listen, I want you all to say happy birthday to my grandma because it was her birthday. My grandma, it was in November when I was down there, and it was I got there at her birth. Everything, look how God worked, man. Anyway, so uh, so all my professional friends, they all put money in her cards. Every single one of them put money in her card and everything. And they said a little thing in there. So when I came there and I said, Grandma, this is from all my friends who I work with. This is what she said to me. When I dropped those cards there and she was going through them and she going through them and said, it's money in here. I said, yes, ma'am. And she got, it's money in all of them. Brother.
She looked up to me and said, "You must be special. You must be special." That's why you say that, ma'am. They don't know me. They don't even know me. And they sent all this money to me and they don't know me because of you? I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "You must be special." And I looked at her. I said, "Yeah, I'm a little something, something. I mean, people know me. The fact, listen to what I'm saying. The fact that she had her factors to recognize that people had put money in her cards, and I brought it there. And do you understand what I'm saying? That she had the factor, the understanding of what had taken place. She had it. She understood that for me, for those people to put money in there, there must be something unique about me to make them. Do you understand what I'm saying? She put it together. I didn't tell her this. She put it together. That's what I want y'all to understand. She put it together. And she came out her mouth and said, "You must be special. You must be special. All these people put this money in here and send to me. You must be special. You my oldest grandson." Yes, yes, ma'am. And then when my mother, I had my wife call. I had my wife call. And I had my wife talk to. She said, "You, you married to this my oldest grandson." And my wife sounds real young. She said, "How old are you?" She said, "How old are you?" My wife said, "I'm 50. I'm 56." She said, "You sound young." Oh man, I'm sharing this story talking about black. Okay, I ain't your black, and my mother separated me from learning the traditions of all things. Like, they go to black churches and hang out, kept me separated from my family and all that type of stuff because my mother wanted to live a certain way. She did not want to live the way that she saw her mother, not the mother, not mother I'm talking about, her mother, who was a maid and everything, living at her. So she didn't want to expose us to that type of thing. So she rebelled against all of that. And come to find out, it actually turned out to be a good thing for me because I didn't have the traditional indoctrination of blackness and everything. So I had to go and learn how to get my black. I had to go get it. But to meet my grandmother, call all I was doing is calling myself at that time, Joe knows this, descendants of American slaves. I had no, I had no real proof. My grandmother's birthday is November 5th, 1919. People, you understand what I'm saying? You hear me, bro?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's her birthday, bro. 1919. you know?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, um, and then when I did my genealogy and everything, I put my grandmother information in there. It's on her side that kicked it all the way up. That's where I kicked it all the way up uh, um, to 1762. My great grandmother Martha, born in Georgia. So that's how I know that I'm a verified freeman. That's how it came about knowing that I was a freedman. Had I
Shoot,
not,
we could have known that just off of Martha and Hattie. Them names right there says it all.
yeah, yeah, those names in itself let you know. These people come off plantations. Some, these roots come off of plantations. Okay, and so the whole message in this "I'm Not Your Black" is that we need to take pride in our history here on this soil of this country. Okay,
Everybody want to take pride in being African and that, but that's our roots is here on America. And there's something to be proud of that we need to take some roots in. And I'm certain that we lost that, after the 1960s, everything. We got caught up chasing a whole lot of different things that has led us to where we at today. But I'm going to say I'm very hopeful. I believe that there's some new things in the horizon. I believe that we have better days ahead of us. But I do believe we need to get from under the color construct, and I think identifying Freeman and a lot of different things will help us do that. But I am very hopeful about the future, and I truly believe and think that the more our men start learning and understanding who they are, I believe tying into what Negro, I believe our women will respond differently to us when our men stand up and fulfill their rightful position, especially all of you born after 1960. So uh, that's my story. That's my for all of you that don't know this, I'm an author. I wrote the book I'm Not Your Black America. I'm Not Your Black, comma, America. You can find my book on uh, time to unlearn to relearn.com. Time to unlearn to relearn.com. You can find my book. And, if you don't want a hard copy, you don't want to read, I got a audio book for 99 cents. And Michael Spencer is the voice actor that actually narrate my book, which is I'm giving my book away at 99 cents because I believe, and I'm going to share that with you too, because I think it's important. Why would I give away really probably my best product? The audiobook is off the hook. Is really good. Okay. But when I had a millionaire brother, which you can go to my website, but my other website, unclemeshorn.com, which is another website of mine too, unclemeshorn.com. You can go to that as well. You can order the book is there as well. But on unclemeshorn.com, Antonio T. Smith, he is a millionaire, potentially going to be a billionaire. He's in the AI brother too, AI technology and everything. He read my book, and so he went ahead and did a review of my book. And so you can go there to unclemeshorn.com and read the review of what he said. But it's what he told me after that I value. He said, Mishon, your book is such a necessary read, but unfortunately, many of our people don't read. He said, many of us don't read. He said, so many people need to hear your story. I think you need to give your audio away book for 99 cents. He said, you're going to make 39 cents from that. He said, but brother, if you can get a million plus people, you just use a million, if you can get a million people to hear your story, how much money you going to make? Did anybody know?
390,000.
$390,000. That's exactly right. He said, you got a million people who have listened to your book for 99 cents and you still made $390,000. So you say, brother, give it away, man, because the value of people hearing your story is more important than you worrying about how much you're going to make for selling your book at $29.99. You know how deep that was, man. I mean, you understand? He said it's a numbers game, man. He said so many of our people are so greedy. They understand in a capitalist society, it's about the numbers. Okay. 390, see, $390,000 is still good money, brother, right? I said, I said, when you put it that way, yeah. And here's the crazy thing. This is so true. Uh, when I published my book, all I was thinking is about the paperback book. I wouldn't, I got a publicist, and I got to get hip to the game. I mean, I'm a new author, I'm gonna get hip to the game, and so my publicist told me we need to make your book a hard copy, and I'm like, hard copy? Why I want to do hard copy?
She said, I said, but hard copy gonna be more. And my hard copies go for $34. My hard copy. And she said, this is not another educational moment for me. She said, your book is so good that I think you're gonna have a lot of white people reading your book. But you don't know white people buy hard copies versus soft copies. Did y'all know that? Anybody seen? Did y'all know that? Anybody? Did y'all know that? Prior to me telling that to you,
About
they buy hard copies. White people who
yeah.
read, they buy hard copies. Did you know that?
I mean, I like to buy the hard copy, even of something that I've listened to.
Right.
I still will go back and buy the hard copy if I listen to it before having the hard copy.
What you just said. Guess what? So I made got a hard copy. Well, I don't mind. I tell you the demographics of who buy my book. Okay, my book is bought by white women, white males, uh, um, which was blew me away. People, Africans, people from other countries, and then culturally us. And the number one selling of my books is the hard copy. The
Mm.
hard the hard copy of my book. I've sold more hard copies because white people buy hard copies. Okay, because they put them in a library. They put them in a library. I actually was on a conference call with somebody, and he told me, "Yeah, me, Sean, here's your book. I bought your book." And he said, "Look at you. He had a hard copy." I said, "He
Yeah,
had
I
a."
like to have my, like right now I'm sitting in my living room. I've got, a couple shelves,
Right,
decorative shelves, and I've got, my books over there, and I
right,
can reach for them and grab whenever I
right.
so choose.
So that learning lesson about, and then I don't mind telling you the next thing, the 99 cents. I sell a lot of. But here's another. Here's what happens. So people who have bought the 99 cents think they still. But guess what they go and do after they read my book or listen to my book? They go buy another book. So I done bought. I done. So I'm selling two products. The 99 cent book actually helped what sell the other book, the audio book. Yeah, so it's been a very. I don't mind telling you, I'm a, now I got my second book getting ready to come out. 20, 25 in holiday season, and for all of you who are listening right now, the title of my second book, I Am Messiah, and I'm gonna just say it again, I Am Messiah. You're not gonna be able to understand why I titled my book, I Am Messiah, unless you read my first book. You're just going. And let me just so all of you all to understand, Joe, am I right or wrong? I never thought that of me showing Daniels we talking about I'm an author based on where I come from, from my beginnings. And y'all, and go ahead, clown. All my close friends, when I told them I was
Nobody
writing a
nobody
book,
thought that.
yeah,
Nobody thought that.
nobody thought that me short. none none of my friends thought that I would be an author, but after they read my book, they said, "Damn!" And then I had no intentions of writing a second book. I mean, it was 9 months to put that book into place, but it was Antonio Smith, the guy that did the interview, did my review of my book. He told me, "You have a gift. You have a gift, man. You see things. You have a unique eye." He said, "But I'm gonna tell you something, man, because he done got 20 books. He's a well astute author person." He told me, he said, "You need to write a second book." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because if you want to sell your first book, you must show that you wasn't just you know, it wasn't just you know
A
what I'm
fluke.
talking, a fluke,
A
right?"
fluke. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you're gonna have to author. He said you're gonna have to produce a second book. So
you can then say you are a two author. You say you might even want to write a third book. And here's the crazy thing: I'm already thinking about the third book. Golly, I can't believe I'm saying this for you, Joe, who know me longer. You know, I can't even. I can't imagine. I'm already thinking about the third book. Never would have thought that I'd be talking about a third book. Okay, and here I am talking about. I'm thinking about that third book, which is going
Hey,
to be tied
hey,
into Freeman.
hey, absolutely. And I want to make sure that Carl jumps in there. He's got his hand up for a while. Go ahead, Carl.
Well, great. I enjoyed the story about your grandmother. That was very, very good, moving story, and the story about your becoming an author. But I was thinking about hopefully I'm going to learn how to put something up in the jumbotron. But anyway, I was reading the history of black in the OMB, Office of Management Budget Standards and Federal Policy, and it has the history of the quote unquote black. And it said the pre 1977, before standardized OMB guidelines, federal agencies used inconsistent racial categories. Terms like Negro, colored, or black were used variably in censuses and federal records, often reflecting societal norms and discriminatory practices. The 1960 census used Negro as the primary term, with no standardized definition across agencies. Data collection often ignored African diaspora diversity, e.g., Caribbean or African immigrants. In 1977, OMB Statistical Policy Directive Number 15 is when they standardized racial and ethnic categories for federal data collection, establishing black, quote unquote, black, as a racial category. The term was defined as, quote, a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. This directive was a response, listen closely, to the need for uniform data to enforce civil rights laws, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which required tracking disparities in employment, housing, and education for groups like Black Americans. The term Black was chosen over Negro to align with emerging cultural preferences and the Black Power movement's emphasis on self-identification. So I said that it's some more stuff to this, but you can find this in the Guac or Chat GPT, the history of black in the Office of Management Budget.
Can
I
you put
read,
it in our? Can you put that in our message in the blue pill?
yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do. I'm gonna try to, but I said that to say this: we are 60 years too late
Yeah.
to try to push back on black, because they've already started the game way back in 64, which I say when they moved us from freedman status and put us under minority, that was the worst thing for our people, to be placed under minority. And not only being placed under minority status, the Office of Management Budget put all racial groups from Africa under black. And so for us not to have our own box, for us not to have our own box,
Mm.
because black is a racial category. Like I said in a space before, there used to be five: black, white, yellow, red, and brown.
Mm.
They stopped using red, yellow, and brown because of the offensive nature, but they kept
Mm,
black and white.
Ain't that something?
So
Because
black,
because nobody bucked up against it.
there you go.
There
So
you go.
black,
You hit it right on the nose, Joe. You hit it right on the nose.
so when you have black as a racial category, the subcategory is what we should have been focusing on to have our own exclusive. We thought it was supposed to be our own exclusive, uh, which I didn't have no input in on this. But they thought they was doing. And now I'm not going to give them that because African American still is a tie to Africa and America. So I'm not going to say they did a good job on that. But we should have our own specific category under the term black that no one else except ourselves could identify with. I sent you that. I sent you that presentation from United Sons and Daughters at the
Oh
Office of
yeah, yeah,
Management and
yeah, yeah,
Budget.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What those brothers were advocating was to have a box that said American Freedmen. Under in that box, American Freedmen, it would have included Negro, color, mulatto, black, and FBA,
Right,
ADOS. It would have
right,
included everyone who was a descendant of the emancipated or slaves in that box, and it would have had our own unique box. But they pushed back on that and got that discarded. And that would have been a beautiful thing because we could have checked black American freedmen. You see
right.
that?
Yes, right.
And I land there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's when I think about this color construct that we've been forced to deal with, and that's why I like using the word astute so much. Okay, unfortunately, people just keep it 100, and hey, nobody get upset about this, but the fact of the matter is, there are people that are way more astute than we were. Okay, we didn't know what we didn't know. Okay, we really did not know what we didn't know. And so I think that we are just now really coming into our astuteness, that we starting to recognize and understand that we have something to offer, we have something to do, and we can now go ahead and navigate things that make sense for us. But I don't think we were there before. I'm almost certain we wasn't there before. Would you
You
agree?
know, and it makes me think that they, I feel like there was a point in the beginning that they kept it, they kept some things in back pocket because they themselves said one day they're gonna wake up.
One day they're gonna wake up.
But through the years, they changed and said, man, they ain't never gonna wake up. We don't need to keep this no more. We
You
don't
think
need to
that's what
keep this no
happened?
more. They ain't never gonna wake up. Because they got so good with how they manipulated the whole situation. So it was like, well, we don't need to keep this here. Because if they kept it in back pocket, they'd be like, when we wake up, then it's like, okay, listen. We here it is. We changing it because we knew y'all was gonna wake up.
Right.
But then, years go by, you look and you see and you're like, oh no, they lost.
See
They
what I
they completely lost.
see what
Nope, don't
I'm
have to worry
learning.
about this.
I'm learning how to do these put things in that Tron. See, I just you put that AI, and what I changed it to astute intelligence. Yeah, I want all of y'all to go read what I wrote about astute intelligence. I posted that in my Freeman page. A lot of people. I'm gonna just let y'all. Matter of fact, that is so deep, and I hope that each and every one of y'all read it. And maybe Tuesday we can come back and have a discussion about that. But Carla, did I send that to you personally, Carl?
Yes, I have it.
And you read it?
Yes, I read that one, and I read Naheem white paper.
Yeah, yeah. Now he white paper as well. I want to, as we, one of the things about when you come to I'm Not Your Black podcast and X Space is that we don't intend to be here alone, but we plan to be strong. Okay. And we consider this a safe space. So you could come here and be heard and don't have to worry about anybody attacking you or anything. But, before we, give it to the people to close us out, anybody want to come up and add to this conversation and, maybe give us give us a review of what you heard. Joe, you want to invite other people up here to see if they want to, I forgot I'm not hosting. So you
Yeah,
got,
I've invited everybody
okay.
to speak.
Okay, great. Okay. So, if anybody, those who haven't said it, you've been listening and everything, you know, um, Flip and Tree, if y'all want to add something, you want your voice and your thoughts to be heard and everything, you can come up and give us your thoughts and everything, but what you heard here, and give a response and everything. But I'm telling you, matter of fact, I'm a clown a little bit. I like clowning, yeah. So, what, Carl? I know you're the political guy here. So, what do you think this Obama thing is going that they done brought? I watched that whole thing, and it looks very incriminating what they're talking about, man. It seemed like Obama participated in trying to get away with something, and it looked like he got caught with his hands in a cookie jar. What you think that's going to go somewhere, Carl?
No, because Trump, remember what he was claiming? Qualified immunity.
Right. So
So it's not going anywhere. It's going to be. It's just a lot of
it's just a
distraction.
it's more an embarrassment than anything. He's not going to be. Now, I wanted to see what you were going to say. He's not going to be. Of course, he's not going to go to the jail or anything like that. But it is going to be an embarrassment. Okay, half the business is not the jail time, but the embarrassment. It's called weaponized. People.
Okay, so who is it going to embarrass? Because his loyal followers are not going to be embarrassed by it. So
I'm
who is going to embarrass?
Yeah, I think it's going to be more embarrassing to him personally, probably to anybody else, because you said it. His loyal people is probably not going to be worried about it. But uh, I don't know. It definitely, but I do believe it is a distraction from the Epstein thing. There is some truth to that. I think there's so much. Let's keep it 100. I think it's so many people names on that thing that it's going to take. It's potentially different countries. We're talking about major banks, insurance. I mean, I think it's so many dignitary people on that list and everything that.
And
Uh,
I was talking to some people the other day. It ain't all just about you know uh underage
yes, I know.
stuff too. It's just, I mean, it's about just men who were cheating, that
Right,
with of age
right. Yeah,
prostitutes and
yeah, yeah,
women
yeah,
and things
yeah.
of that nature. It ain't just
Yeah, right. Just
so
not the. It's not just
people
the
say
pedophile.
Epstein and they always try to say
It's the pedophile.
child pornography and this, that, and the other. Everybody there didn't participate in that. There were other stuff going on besides that.
Right, right, right. So
This would never come out in the open because this is too much of a national security issue for this to
Mhm.
even to be brought out. So I think the Obama thing, Trump is was labeled as a felon. So I think this is just payback by Trump on Obama. That's all. That's all it's going to go. It's not going to go anywhere.
yeah, yeah, like yeah, tit for tat. You want
And,
to.
and 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 one thing I will say is that Trump is a tit for tat type
Yeah,
of
yeah,
dude. He's petty.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say.
Very
He's
petty.
petty. He's petty.
He's a
He's
very
very petty.
petty dude.
He's a petty dude, brother. Keep it 100. You want to come at me? You want to come at me like that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you gonna do? Okay.
Yeah, back in the day, I'm pretty sure as a kid, your mama was the one of the number one things he yelled back when people teased him about anything. Your mama,
Just
if
just
he knew
hold
better.
just hold your hat because this petty because Trump being petty, we're gonna be surprised of the other pettiness comes out before he leaves office.
Oh, of course, of course.
Oh, of course, no doubt, no doubt, yeah, because he's definitely petty. It ain't no if or that's about that. But let me just say, this don't change nobody. I voted for him 3 times. Okay, unapologetic. Yeah, I just couldn't swing that other way. I'm sorry, I just couldn't. It was just some things going on that other side. I just got it. So
Yeah.
if it,
And I think that's the number. I would say, to me, I believe that the number one reason why you have brothers in the numbers as they were voting for Trump is more, and not even just brothers, but melanated folk, because a lot of these what we call them pompous pushing preachers,
right,
they like to sit there and Cosby has said it. If you voted for Trump, you just stupid. I mean,
right,
a lot of these preachers try to say that stuff, and I hate. Everybody's got an opinion, and that's what
right.
makes our country great. We get to express that. So, but nonetheless, I think more so, especially this time around, it was because they just went to me, I feel like they just went too far with the whole transgender stuff. And I think there was a mountain of us that was like, look, bro, look, y'all trying to really play God here and push people in a direction to just be like, you know what, grow up and just be whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's people out here that done got surgeries so they could look like an alligator and all type of ridiculous stuff. I remember seeing something on TikTok, a lady complaining, with Trump in office now, what are we gonna do? My son identifies as a cat and I get $1,000 a month, and that covers half of my $2,000 a month of rent. And it's a white lady.
Yeah, I
It's a
know.
white
Yeah,
liberal
yeah.
woman yelling this on TikTok. What are we gonna do? What you mean? First off, your kid need to be on the short bus, number one, and that's all that needs to happen, because that's what it was back in the day. Your kid will grow out of it.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
need to watch some different cartoons.
Or people go to military. You gonna go to military and go. I mean, I just thought that was just crazy. You gonna go in the military, and now you find out that you want to become a girl, and the military gonna pay for it. You what? Oh, you what? You want to
Yeah,
change your sex? You come to the military, and we gonna pay for it? No, hell no! Take your ass back. You need to get off. You need to go. You need to go back
yeah,
home. you need to take
yeah,
right. I mean, you need to take your ass back home. Okay? What the hell? The
yeah. You
taxpayers
you
gonna
you
pay.
have a you have a mental disablement. So you you know
Yeah, I mean, some people think that's hard, well, hey, and then, and this was the kicker, bro. I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you, bro. Uh, Grown ass men or boys who can't make it in the sport that they was playing in, so they get a hair up their ass. A great idea. Let me see. Let me see now. Let me see. I think I'm gonna go ahead and convert track and field. All right, I ain't one shit. I ain't run a
and
damn
the
thing.
sad part about all of that is that women, real women, should be standing up
Yeah,
against that all day long.
all
They
day
should
long.
be standing up against that, because what's happening. I mean, and then when you do have men that want to swing that way, and then they want to date that way, well, now they taking your men. You know what I mean? And I mean, because
Yeah.
there's some guys out there that don't agree. They know, oh, she's a trans, and they okay with that. She didn't
Mm,
had the surgery,
mm.
bro. Like, I mean, it's. I mean, how far do we go
Yeah, I know.
before
How far do
enough
we go?
is enough? And that did it for me. I was like, nah,
Yeah. I've talked
I'm
to a lot of,
voting for this because we
yeah.
need to get back to some level
It's
of
called common sense.
normalcy.
A lot of people thought, a lot of people voted for common sense. They come on now.
Absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely.
I heard that a lot. Look at here, bro. I may not like Trump, but damn, bro, I gotta go with some common sense. This shit,
When you was born, it's one thing right there, and if you got two, well, we got a name for you on that. You know,
right,
you a hermaphrodite. You know, I mean, you got to stop at some point
right. You
and
can't. I mean,
stop pushing the envelope. And your boy, Obama, he opened the door for that. And look how far we've gone.
so
It's crazy.
so you know what I do with people, and if you never asked no one, for you all who maybe not, who's the first president? Who's the first president to open up the Pandora box in America that you can call? So I ask people, I throw that question out there, and and you know what, Carl? I've had people that I know they liberal, straight up liberal, and I say, so who's the first president that you would say opened up the Pandora box that changed the direction of our country? And without a hint, everybody has labeled Obama. Ain't that something, Carl?
Yeah, that is a whopper there.
Everybody know Pandora box was open on America and the world, really, but America with Obama. Now, that is not a legacy. I don't want the first, supposedly the black president, to be labeled as the president that changed the culture of things in this country by opening up the Pandora box. And I sit here and
But me, Sean, I've got to add Supreme Court Justice John Roberts on that list
ooh,
Mm,
because
mm.
Supreme Court John Roberts opened up the door for Obamacare because it would have been dead on arrival. But he
absolutely. I'm
he
glad that you
he
brought that up.
he
Yes.
made a law on Obamacare, and then he also opened up the Pandora box on same sex marriage. So
Yeah.
I got to put him up
You,
there with
yeah,
Obama.
yeah. Good job. That's why it's good to have other people in it. You make a very
And
good
you,
point.
and you want to know what's crazy? And I'm just sitting here thinking, because I mean, Obama gave 12 million to the Jews, and he did a whole lot of stuff, but nothing specifically for melanated folk. Now, who was we caught? Now, before Obama came along, Clinton was labeled as the first black president, right? He was so
Mm,
cool. He played the
yeah.
sax,
Hmm.
and he brought in affirmative action. And now we know that you read up on affirmative action. It's not necessarily specific
Right,
to
right. Yeah.
melanated folk, but neither
Hmm.
was civil rights specific to melanated folks.
I'm
But
glad you brought that out.
absolutely, but you could almost say that Clinton did it blacker than Obama. Clinton did more for the melanated folks with affirmative action than Obama did
In
with anything.
8 years, kissing up to LBGTQ.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of wild when you really sit back and think about it. But hey, you know what? We opening up topics that we need to be foregoing for Tuesday when we
Yeah,
come
yeah,
back.
yeah.
So it's
Let's
that
go.
time, and I want everybody, like you say, me, Sean, do a roundabout. Carl, if you want to start us off and just any last words.
Great space. Again, use Grok or Chat GBT, the history of Black in the Office of Management Budget, and see how we have already lost that battle. And Friedman is the best disaggregation for our people. I land there.
And what Carl said, and I just want to say thank you all for coming to our space. We the whole point is that we come here to be intelligent. We want to keep it safe. We want to be strong, but we're not gonna keep it long. Okay, this is the I Ain't Your Black, podcast here, spinoff from my book. Uh, Time to Unlearn to Relearn. You can go Time to Unlearn to Relearn. The title of my book, I'm Not Your Black America. So we'd like to see you back
Time to
in
unlearn to relearn.com.
Time to
Right.
Unlearn Time to Unlearn to Relearn.com. And so with that, go ahead, Joe. Give it a close.
Hey, we it's been a good one. Appreciate the other brothers and everybody who popped in, popped out. It's all good. We appreciate you. Appreciate you listening, and we'll see y'all Tuesday, same place, same time, 7 p.m. We'll probably be more using the we'll be tagging both I Ain't Your Black as well as followers as we do the show and set up these spaces here on X just the same. So you guys can also check us out on you can check out the recording here. You can check out the recording on Facebook at I Ain't Your Black, as well as YouTube at I Ain't Your Black.
And Instagram
And
too. We on Instagram as well.
yeah, Instagram. I didn't stream it there this time, but we will be streaming it there to Instagram in the future as well, and hopefully be getting it over to streaming to TikTok here soon as well. But nonetheless, definitely hit us up in those other social media platforms so we can convene, talk, chop it up, and just go ahead and continue to poly with each other. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you Tuesday. Peace.
Get ready for I Ain't Your Black. This is the podcast that offers healing, insights, and epiphany. Discussing and reviewing everything others are afraid to talk about. It's all about what is right for us. I ain't your new black. I ain't your old black. I ain't your future black. America! I ain't your black. And now, the host of I Ain't Your Black, Mr. Just As Joe and Uncle Mijor.
You gotta be like, man, you love
When black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough,
who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other.